Good evening and welcome back for another show of Easy 8's Online Painting Club. My name's Danny, it says so right down at the bottom of the screen there, and this week is a really exciting week. We've got 8 viewers already online before I even got here. That's a really good start. Thank you very much for coming along and joining in today and being so prepared. It's been a rush for me today to kind of get everything sorted out and ready for today, but I think I've got everything sorted out. I'm looking around and going like, I think there's something that I'm missing, but everything's good. So yeah, here we are, week 16. Wow, I say this every week and I really must get out of the habit of it, but it feels like yesterday we started, but it's been 4 months since we've been rolling on this show. I put in the Facebook ad in the description 3 months. I got it wrong. I was just talking to Kyle before we got started. Like, no, this is 4 months. It's not 3 months. Wow, it's been a hell of a roller coaster. I hope you guys are all doing well and that you've brought all your miniatures and your grey armies and everything that needs to be painted and given that little bit of attention and love, because today we're going to get some stuff done. If you are new to this channel or you're just an oldie and you can't remember what it's all about, this show is all about, it's not necessarily a tutorial, but it's all about you bringing your miniatures along to a painting club, which is just online, because the world over the last 12 months has just kind of forced us into a digital social group. So this is what it's all about. It's not a tutorial to teach you how to do anything. Perhaps you'll learn something on the way, but we're just here to provide you with the motivation and hopefully the inspiration to get your miniatures painted, because I think that is something that we as hobbyists suffer from, is just not having the motivational drive to do it. So yeah, bring your miniatures along, get involved in the live chat. There's normally loads of stuff going on in there. It's very, very chatty, and of course I'm not alone this week. I would like to introduce Kyle to the show. He wasn't here last week. Say hi to everybody, Kyle.
Hi everyone, I'm back.
He is back. He wasn't here last week because you were in hospital last week, but it was all okay. It was good. You're fine, aren't you? Yeah, it's just a regular thing for you. Wonderful. If you are new to the show, please do consider subscribing to the show. I told you the graphics were going to be here again this week. Yeah, cool. I feel like a proper YouTuber now, Kyle. I'm learning stuff every week. Yeah. Please do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Every little bit helps us out loads, and it helps us grow, and that can only benefit you, us, and everyone all together. So yeah, head on over to the Facebook page, head on over to our Instagram page, like and follow us over there, and you can see those details for each of those platforms on the screen just under where it says subscribe right now. So yeah, please do consider doing that if you haven't already. Maybe you can even hit the little bell icon. That's something I haven't said before. Do that. Yeah, why not? Cool. Interesting. We've got a couple of chats going on already. Jeff Lacey, oi oi, and Dave Lester saying evening all. Evening guys, thanks for coming along. Regular viewers, I like to see our regular viewers coming into it. So Kyle, like 3 months I've written on the thing, but we know it's 4.
It's 4 months.
Like, how does that make you feel, man?
It makes me feel good and bad. I was just thinking about that. 4 months. It's awesome that this has been going for 4 months and it's been a great platform. I thought I might have had a few more miniatures painted in 4 months, but it's part of my journey, and this is where I struggled, is with my motivation to paint. So just the fact I'm getting any done is just such an improvement.
And that's where I was going to go with it. But you've previously had nothing done.
Exactly.
At least you've got a couple of things done, right?
Yeah, I've got a few things, a few squads coming along. You know, I've got my goal. So hopefully by the time it could be happening, I know the roadmap's been put in place. We might be able to see each other in the near future. Yeah. It's getting exciting, that, isn't it? And that's something that I wanted to bring up. I didn't want to put it on the description or anything, but something that I wanted to bring up to all our viewers now, early doors, is that going into the UK's roadmap for coming out of lockdown, and you know, now that the vaccines are rolling out, are we going to stay on air? Absolutely. I've got every intention of keeping Easy 8 going. There's a light at the end of the tunnel for me going back into employment, which would be wonderful because I really have missed working. And obviously you and I used to work together, and the place that we used to work together was beautiful, and I loved it there. And I'm hopefully going to go back. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that it all works out. But I will always make time for this show. I'll always make time for this hobby and for our viewers as well. That's provided, obviously, that it's required. As long as we've got one viewer coming on, whether it's live or watching it back, the show will carry on, because like you said from the beginning, Kyle, if one person benefits from what we do, then we're winning. And I've actually had just reports coming in from all over the world, and that is something that I'd never expected. Now watching the view count go up, and yeah, we had
one of our shows, our first show, has breached 150 views, which I think is incredible.
Fantastic.
Another one of our videos has gone well over 100 views. I did a little product review a little while ago on paint remover. That's nearly 100 views. And something that is really impressive about this show is that we typically have around about 8, maybe 10 live viewers at any one time. At the end of the show, that instantly quadruples. It goes up to about 21, 25 views, and then over the week that quadruples. So there's a lot of people all over the place who may not be able to watch it live that are watching it back on replay, and we're getting a lot of connection. So we're doing a really good thing, and I'm all the more happy to carry that on into what we do in the future. Adrian Dean's online. Evening all. Nice to see you again, Adrian. Thanks for coming along. Cool. So this week, I haven't written down anything that I was going to do this week. It's very difficult for me week on week to kind of come up with a topic list of things that I want to talk about. It's not really a talk show, it's a club, but I kind of feel obligated to have a little something. But I've got some topics that I think are really important to talk about tonight. It's pretty much what the show is about. But what I don't have is a set thing that I'm working on. I've got lots of projects going on at the moment, and actually that's kind of making me slow down in my progress. So what I've got at the moment is I've got about 3 or 4 different projects, and I'm going to be like what do we call it when we got that conveyor belt going? We've got assembly line sort of productivity going on. Interesting fact, in the live chat right now, Kieran Burrows is a brand new live viewer. I've not seen your name in a live chat before. Welcome to the show, Kieran. Thank you very much for coming along. I hope you get a lot out of this show. I hope that you get your miniatures painted, and that you just generally find the company in the live chat worthwhile, because it does get chatty sometimes. If you haven't already, do remember to subscribe. There it is. There's the graphic on the screen again. I can't get enough of it. Do please consider hitting that subscribe button. It does help us out loads. So today I've got... Do you remember last week I was talking, because you did watch the show back on replay, didn't you, Kyle? I mentioned that I was going to get back to an old Carnifex model, strip it down, and then I was going to give it that little bit of love and care that it needed. I'm halfway through. That is a really bright yellow. We're going to have a look at that in a minute. I've still got my Zoanthropes on the go. They're taking me a lot of time to complete. I wanted them done weeks ago, but I've had other projects that are stalling it. But I've got one more Zoanthrope to finish, and then it's bases for those. And hopefully today we're going to do a little bit of acid pool bases with them, which is kind of awesome. So those are my 2 main 40k projects on the go. I've got, because of my dad, and you've benefited from this as well, I've got a pile of 1/100 scale tanks, and we'll have a look at those in a minute. I've got half of them here with me, but I've made them all apart from the 2 Russian ones. And I've got the mouse, like the experimental mouse, which is like this big, and I've got the Stuart scout tank, which is like this big. It's incredible, the size difference. And also right here, because I finished a lot of the build work on it, I've got my 135th Panther. It's been undercoated and it's got the base colour on there now. All the wheels are all over there separately. It took me all day yesterday to get that first base layer on there. Oh man, it's a monster. I'm loving it. It's a real nice distraction from all the wargaming stuff that, like you said in the past, that's just a model for the model's sake. It's a wonderful thing. Get a Tamiya kit, guys. 135th scale, absolutely brilliant. Kieran said, Steve Jenkins gave me a heads up about you. I'm sat here painting an orc battle wagon at the moment. Steve Jenkins is one of our supporters. Brilliant. Thanks for coming along, man. Please do share us around. Tell all your friends, if you're a part of a club, you've got pals that you play games with or paint with, share the word, because we want this community to really grow. So yeah, cool. What are you doing tonight, Kyle?
I'm waiting for the greens I need for my Russian tank to arrive, so they're on order.
Lovely.
From your recommendation about branching away from the Citadel tanks.
Sure.
So they got put on order midweek, so I'm waiting for them to arrive. So I'm finishing the second half of my Assault Intercessor squad at the moment. I buckled after our massive conversation, because I'm probably going to split them into 2 5-man squads, and I think for Crusade, actually having the Thunderhammer on the Sergeant as a redundancy is helpful, and I just love Thunderhammers.
Thunderhammers are the way forward. I love a Thunderhammer.
I really want to experiment as well, because I've never really put much effort or effect into sort of those power type weapons, and there's so many different ways you can paint them. So many different effects. Because I'm doing that kind of grim, dark, dry brushing style, I really want to pick out things like power weapons, just give that bit of extra detail, a bit more fine detail to it, maybe experiment with a different technique or two, just to really try and just make that model.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, you want to add that little bit of experimental flair to your power weapons. For those people who don't know what power weapons are, maybe you're just like a modeler, not a gamer. Power weapons are normal weapons like swords and massive hammers, because that's a normal weapon. But basically, the idea is that it has like a massive electrical current go through it because reasons. Yeah. So the idea is that it's supposed to do more damage and it's more armor piercing and just generally more terrifying. And a lot of people paint like lightning, or they do like a glow effect on them. Incidentally.
Original source lighting with the power weapons. Let's see where I'll go.
I saw a video the other day. I was going to bring it up as a part of today's stuff, but I didn't. But hey, here I go now. Which was a fire effect for molten steel. And it's not like molten metal, like dripping, but like fire effect on a sword was what it was done for. And it looked absolutely amazing. The video for how to do it is like 20 minutes long. But really, if you're just kind of getting into it, you only need to watch the first 5 minutes, because there's a lot of layering and just kind of blending all the way through. And it's just add this colour for 5 minutes and add this colour for 5 minutes until you get the desired effect. And obviously the better you get and the more comfortable you get, then the longer you'll spend on that process. But he uses 4 or 5 colours from white right down to dark red, so he goes through the oranges and yellows, and he just kind of blends it in with a medium or water from the outside, like a glaze essentially. From the outside it gets brighter to the centre of the sword, but you could just exchange those colours for the cooler temperature colours like blues and things like that, to kind of give you that almost lightsaber feel, but without actually being a lightsaber, because typically they're broadsword shapes, aren't they? So yeah, it might be interesting. What I'll do at the end of the show is I will put a link to that video in the description, and I'll also make sure that when I'm able to go back and edit this video somewhere tomorrow, is I'll make sure that an info card comes up somewhere just over there above Kyle's head, so that there'll be a link to it there as well, so that if you want to in the future you can go and have a little look at that. And that, again, that's what this show is all about. It's about supporting those people out there that do provide tutorials, and other people that have got their own businesses and companies and networks and things like that. So yeah, cool.
Because this is a place to just come and pick.
This
is your 2 hours.
I'm not here to take over anybody else's limelight. I'm here to share everybody's work. So yeah, that's cool. And we will do a little bit about community spotlight and that sort of thing, typically after the interval, because this show will run for 2 hours. Cool. Yeah, I suppose I will take us, Kyle, over to the workbench so we can have a little look at what I've got on over here. Where am I? Where's the workbench? Here it is. Oh, I've just worked out what it is that I'm missing.
Models.
No. My fill light on the side there. There we go. Yeah, cool. Workbench.
I did forget models. I sat down ready to go, had everything around me, and went, oh no.
I heard you. I heard you talking in the background. Yeah. Don't forget to bring your models to a model painting club. So here is my zone throat. This is the first one that I did out of my unit of 3. I was trying, for those people that are new and haven't seen last week's show or beyond, I was experimenting with just trying to basically get my skills together and develop a little bit. So I experimented with new techniques and new styles, even new hardware. I went and bought a really expensive brush. I bought a couple of brushes to really push the boundaries a little bit. This was my practice one. So what I was trying to do here was create artificial cracks and splits in this creature's head, carapace, all over really. I was pretty happy with that. These were an eBay rescue as well, so I wasn't too fussed about it not looking so great. I then upped my skills with this second one, and though the lines and detailing was much neater, it was probably a bit too uniform. I'll come in a shot so you can see it. There we go. They were a bit too uniform, so I actually preferred the way that this one appears, that this one here is neater. So yeah. And then I wanted to really crack on with this one, but I say, like, the last couple of days I've actually been working on that Panther. This is it's called the Neuro Throat, which is basically like an upgrade to the other two. It's way more powerful. You're supposed to use them in groups of 3, but this one here is a single unit. So what I do, I've actually got like an old style one which I use as a Neuro Throat if I've got these 3 on the board being zone throats already, or if I just want one, then I can come to this bad boy here. And what I'm doing at the moment with them all is I'm basing them as I go. I'm kind of learning to make my aesthetic with my bases look a bit more interesting and a bit more poppy. What I've got is this kind of cracked dead earth style thing with a little bit of just, I don't know, just unappealing, unattractive ground to make it look like they've pretty much won the battle already, because Tyranids consume your planet. And on this one, on, I've made a big black smooth area. I've actually sanded it down a little bit because today I'm going to practice a little bit of the, I'll get my light out shot there. Going to practice a little bit of acid pool basing, which is something I did in my Brewlord. It went really well, but it takes a really long time to do. So just because there's a lot of glazes, etc. like that, and I'm just going to try and, give it some drying time and work as I'm doing other bits and pieces. I've just realised, you might have had me getting a bit distracted there, that my subscribe scrolling banner is actually going in front of our cameras there. So I'm just going to sort that out, and I'm just going to bring that down. And now that should appear behind our videos. There was a lot of problems with my computer just before. As always, every week, isn't there? Something that goes wrong. And this week I was just trying to sort it out, and clearly I missed the mark on that one. So yeah, those are my zone threats. So I'm gonna be doing the carapace work all over this bad boy, doing the bases on them, and I've also got this Karn effects, which I stripped down absolutely beautifully. It worked wonderfully overnight. I left it in there for a couple of days. There was a lot of fiddly areas because there's a lot of recesses and grabby bits in the ribs and just under arms where I didn't quite get it, but it was so insignificant. With a paint job over the top, it really didn't matter whatsoever. I just did such a bad job of him in the past. I was just so ashamed of it as a model. I really wanted to do it justice. I primed him, realised that there's a lot of areas left to fill on it, so I might go back and do those bits and pieces. But I sprayed all the body bits yellow. This is how bright this yellow is. This is how it turns out once I've put a filter over it with a bit of sepia tone. So yeah, it'll calm right down. I might do a little bit of that on it tonight. I might just do a little bit of grey work on the carapace. Trying to do that with the airbrush is really difficult because there's so much of it. You've got to be really precise, and any overspray shows up quite a bit on this yellow. So yeah, I'm not going to worry about airbrushing. That's going to kind of brush it along. And when I'm done with that one, I've got...
Sorry, Danny, just to butt in a little bit.
We're
just getting a few comments in. We think the music might be starting to get a bit louder.
Okay, cool. Let me just get on top of that. Yeah, one of the issues I've had today is audio levels. So let me just kind of bring that down a little bit.
And I would just ask Kieran, and he's popped back about the battle wagon he's doing.
Yeah,
it's pretty much a kind of an out of the box, but just with a few tweaks and tunes. Because I know we've spoken about orcs in the past, about how fun it would be to do an orc army just for that chance to just
to kind of go out there, just to do something really weird.
Use any model really, like sort of any of the vehicle models, and kind of just chop and change and add what you want. And yeah, it must be a fun kind of element to the game. So it's a very convertible army.
This morning I downloaded the free demo of the new Warhammer 40,000 video game, which is called Warhammer 40,000
the video game.
Orcs Dakar pilots, or whatever, basically orc fighter pilots. Yes. There's a free demo. I recommend you go and get it. It will tear your mind apart in 30 seconds flat, and then you'll want to put it down again, because it is absolutely, it personifies the orcs perfectly. It's just mental. Absolutely. Yeah, it really is. Have a go. We love orcs because they just represent everything stupid about us, don't they? Yeah. So, yeah. Cool. Do I do a little bit of acid basing before I get stuck in on my neurothrope? Yeah, why not? Cool, let's do some of that. So, I base all my bases black, because even if I'm going to do cracked earth underneath it like I've got here, when it splits, I like to have the black show through. And for the acid pool basing, I like it to be dark. I've sanded it down to create a nice smooth texture on there. And then I go in and I basically start applying various different greens, and I get higher and higher as closer I get to the edge. So the first one I'm going to start off with is a dark green, which I think is, if you're using Games Workshop colours, is like Caliban green, or the Dark Angels colour, whatever that's called nowadays. So yeah, I normally add a medium to them to glaze them, but what I'm doing right now is I'm starting with a simple base of green. So I want to paint it basically. We've got more comments going in. I've made an X-Wing
and a Batmobile.
He's made an X-Wing and a Batmobile. God, I'd really be interested to see that Batmobile. Yeah, that'd be cool.
I was going to say, chuck some pictures up, Kieran, on the,
on
the Facebook
Go
page.
over to our Facebook page, to Easy8. Head on over to the community tab and just upload all your photos there, man. You can just talk about it all day. I'm active on there all the time, every minute of every day I'm on there. And he's also got kit bashing is definitely the best about orcs. Yeah, it really is, because you can just do anything, because they're all about it.
I've never had an inkling to play orcs, because I've always sort of veered towards the more sort of elite armies, just kind of how I like the play style. But there's just always something about just getting to make your own vehicles, just out of anything you could find. Like, just make something. Bolt it on.
There's something about the actual models that make me want to play them. Just trying to sort my lighting out here. What's going on? There we go. That's a bit better. I've always kind of wanted to play them, but I never have. I've only ever fought against them on a couple of occasions way back in 2nd edition. Oh no, I haven't. No, I played them in 6th or 7th edition because our colleague Dave, who we used to work with, played them in a tournament that I ran once, and that was touch and go, man. That was a hell of a game. He made me fight for that, and he beat me in the end. I thought I was going to get him, but yeah, orcs on bikes, damn, and then mega knobs. Oh, we've got a subscriber. Or a follower, and that'll be Kieran. He's obviously headed on over to Facebook, and he's been over there and he's followed us. Thank you very much, man. That is some live activity right there on the show. Thank you very much. Wicked. Look, Kyle, we're growing. We're growing as a group. How does that make you feel? Pretty cool, right?
It's what it's about, isn't it?
It really is.
Growing that community, just getting to sit around with some people whilst you're painting, have a chat. Perfect. I realised one of the reasons I think I struggled so much with that motivation to paint is doing it by yourself. I don't enjoy sitting there by myself doing it personally. I really like.
It's a lonely sport, right?
Yeah, having someone to chat to whilst I go, and how much I've gotten out of being able to chat to other people in the hobby whilst painting. I've got so many tips and tricks and
brushes.
Yeah, brushes and tanks.
You've been sent brushes, man. Tanks and brushes. Yeah, wicked.
Yeah, just love it. I know we say that all the time. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's what it's there for.
I mean, that's one thing that we've got to be careful about how we organise our week as well, because we've just come out of half term and it's easy to spend a lot of time, as you should, with your family, so on and so forth. But then you come back to it and you're like, oh man, I didn't do anything last week. Because it was half term last week, my partner is a teacher in training, like you are. You're a teacher in training as well, aren't you, I believe?
Yes,
and because we don't get to spend an awful lot of time together during the week, we thought we would spend a lot of time last week together. So that eats up the time that you should be hobbying, or could be hobbying, or should be hobbying. Steady, daddy, steady. But yeah, it was. I didn't get half the stuff done that I had planned. So then you start going, well, I didn't get anything planned. I didn't get anything done last week, but so it's okay. I've dropped off a little bit, and then that kind of exacerbates and it moves on, doesn't it? And it's quite easy to let that draw out, and you get comfortable with not having done a little, not having done so much, and after a while you realise, it's been 3 weeks since I've actually put any paint on any models, and it just happens so easily, and that's the benefit of having a club. Like I said last week, I've always wanted to run a painting club, not necessarily online. That was just the way of the world that kind of drew me to this, but just to have a painting club where everyone can get together and kind of share ideas and do stuff. And
I love it, and like I say, it shows. This is the most I have ever painted, and I'm close to having my Crusade Force painted now. I'm very close. Got most of the models there ready. I'm missing a few little bits and pieces, and I'm building up to, like I said at the very beginning, is painting up my first HQ choices ever, which I plan to hopefully do in a bit more detail than my troop choices, as you should. But yeah, so the goals are slowly getting ticked off. We're getting there. Getting there.
I've been looking at models lately online, like, I'm gonna buy something. Don't do it yet, Danny. We've spoke about this, haven't we?
Get the grey painted.
Yeah.
So much to pay.
So I'm wondering if I should just do a little bit of highlighting, a little bit of dry brushing on this bad boy before I get stuck in, because normally what I've done is I've just picked out some of those details, softened down that black filter that I've put on that, what is quite light grey to start with, because I did it on the other ones, but I don't think I've done it much on this one. I don't know if I'm going to bother. I might just crack on. I'm just going to crack on. Let's get stuff done. Let's do this.
Luke's just popped in. Hey Luke, how you going?
Hi Luke, nice to see you again.
Missed you last week being away. You played that orc game, but yeah, red ones go faster as well with orcs. It's something I'm used to painting orcs, painting red, sorry, so could make that move to orcs. Nice fast orc vehicles, all painted in beautiful Mephiston red. Oh, we've got a few more comments going in. Oh, Jeff said, if I remember, you used to have a game of Orc Bar Fight.
I still have
so
a
much
game
fun to
of
play.
Orc Bar Fight.
Oh, I've never even heard of that.
I know, yeah. This is a connoisseur's choice. So, Orc Bar Fight was a laugh that Games Workshop had some years ago now, in a copy of White Dwarf. It was a pop-out centerfold game with some basic rules. It's basically an orc tavern, and a fight breaks out. Last orc standing, and it was absolutely brilliant. And I remember recalling the game some time ago with some friends, and yeah, I found it online and printed it all off on cardboard, because it's only a small little table thing with some squared grids. And basically the idea is there's a balcony, some tables, some chairs and bottles, and you just beat each other up and, you know, do elbow drops off the balcony until you're the last orc standing. Is mega fun. Yeah, if you can find it online, Orky Bar Brawl. Maybe I'll bring it out one week, show everybody.
But brilliant.
Yeah, Orc Bar Brawl. There were no models in that. No models in that.
Just as a little side note, actually, to sort of talk about alternative games. I know it's something that we've mentioned before, but I did a little bit more sort of looking into the Infinity game.
So did I, Kyle.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just looking at some of the factions that you can play. And
yeah.
It's sort of, obviously it's a futuristic game, but they've kind of based it off Earth. And like extrapolated forward about what could happen
in the not so distant future, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'm getting more and more intrigued by it. Definitely getting more intrigued. It could be the next move.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree, and it's not so much that it's a new game that I necessarily want to play, though that is a big part of it. But I just knocked my webcam. But it's more about I want to try different painting techniques and styles on different sets of models, you know. We spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? I want to experiment with that style of kind of synthwave, do you know? Everything that's movie 80s.
Yes, everything good about the 80s movie scene.
What was bad about the movies in the 80s?
That they're over. The only one I could. I mean, just thinking about this Orc fighter pilot game, the first thing that came to my head was Top Gun. If we're going to go down that road anyway, some sort of Orc Top Gun style would be phenomenal.
Yeah, like, it's in my head now, and now I can't shake that image.
A short orc in a bomber jacket and aviators is your Tom Cruise.
You could be my wingman. Zog that.
I mean, we talk about this all the time, sort of inspiration for different paint styles or things like that. And you know, you've said one there is that 80s synth, and I know we've talked about that before, that Tron kind of idea in painting. And
yeah,
I love it when I see a unique army and someone goes, "Oh, I got the idea from this," and you just see those different takes on things where someone's taken one little thing from. Could it be a manga or an anime, or there's so much
scope out there, isn't there? I mean,
crazy.
Imagination is your limit. It really is, and that's what I like about this hobby, the painting of it and whatever. It's just it's just a little window into the theatre of your imagination, isn't it? Yeah. Of course, the skill comes from being able to direct that show.
Yeah.
Which at the moment I'm really struggling to get paint on this model. It's not flowing so well.
Jeff just said about playing orcs in Blood Bowl, and that's a game that me and you got a chance to play quite a bit of.
Yes, it was.
For about a year, which is fantastic. I can't remember who played orcs. We did have an orc team.
It was
me.
And
it's completely right. It's nothing to do with the ball.
It was me.
It was you.
It was me.
Nothing to do with the ball at all. And I played the exact opposite because I played a Wood Elf team. So it's all about the ball and running away from any sort of physical violence whatsoever.
Yeah, they're totally opposite scopes, aren't they? Orcs are about ignoring the ball and beating everybody up, and the Wood Elves, or elves in general, are about ignoring the other team and then just throwing a ball around. Yeah, it was great. I've played Blood Bowl for years. I've never actually had my own models or set. I've always kind of like been around people that have played it and just kind of invited me in to it, like what happened with us. But every time I play Orcs, because I don't want to play anything else, I've never won a game.
I had great fun the entire time.
That's what it's about, right?
You got Adrian was asking what was bad about 80s movies. The hair, you're not half wrong. And And David as well saying the clothes. I don't know. That 80s look.
No,
There's
man.
something about
No,
it.
I love a mullet with a denim jacket. What are you talking about?
I'm thinking like that. Can I say Miami Vice? Miami Vice, is that 80s? Are we thinking
Yeah,
that?
I think it is.
Miami style.
It was
I
redone
reckon I
recently,
could rock
wasn't
that.
it? But the original is what it's all about. Yeah.
Definitely.
If I can't wear a sweatband on my head and be free to move around town, what sort of a world are we living in?
For this showing my lack of preparation today, I entirely meant to finish my lectures today and get this unit sprayed in time for the show, and I ran out of time, got distracted, and so now I'm having to just undercoat them by hand, and I'm now cursing myself for it because it's so much longer than just spray painting them.
Oh man, you could have just, I don't know, taken them outside for a minute.
Oh, I know, but I had the time. I got distracted, very easily distracted, and paying the price now. But we'll get there. We will get there.
Do let us know in the comments if the music or the sound levels are a little bit out. Like I said, I've had trouble with it over the last couple of weeks. I thought I had it resolved going in there. Just let us know if that music gets too loud, if there's a volume creep either way, or any kind of problems. Video as well, just let us know, and I'll see if I can adjust it on the fly.
Out of everything that you paint, Danny, because you paint quite a lot, obviously you're considerably more accomplished painter than I am.
Well, thank you very much. I disagree, but thank you.
Painted a lot more models. What is it that you, motivation-wise, not necessarily technique or ability-wise, struggle with the most?
Just generally seeing a model through. It's everything that we do has its downside, and it has its awkward side, has its negative thing. Every job that we can think of, every sport that we could do has that bit on it that is the drudgery, as I believe Adam Savage has put it in one of his videos, is the drudgery, and you have to fight through that. And with this, it's the repetition, it's the constantly going back, and the fact that sometimes it just takes ages to get stuff done. I've been working on these zone throats now for weeks, and every time I finish a show I'm like, oh yeah, I'll have them done, but I end up having to do other things, and I've got so many other projects on the go. So it's just about seeing not necessarily a project through, but a part of it, so like I'm doing all the carapace highlighting now. I've decided to I've chosen a particular way of doing it that it takes for ages, and it's very intensive, and it's just about having that mindset going into it that this is going to take me a while, but at the end of it, it's going to really look good, because these three models are going to look awesome side by side, and when the rest of the army's done, as the unit is built up, that is going to look awesome when they're all together. So that's just kind of, I don't really have a way of dealing with it other than just going, okay, cool, today I'm going to put half an hour aside, and I'm just going to do it. And then when it comes to a particular model, I break it down, and I don't move on to another bit until I've done what needs to be done on that one piece. So like right now on this particular zone through here, I'm working on this nose horn, and because I've been doing other projects, I'm a little bit out of the flow of it. It's taken me a little bit to get back into it.
I get what you mean.
I won't move off this particular piece, this nose horn, until I finished it, and I've only got one side done at the moment, and it's ugh. But what I'm really struggling with at the moment is the flowing of the paint. I've really got to get that water in there. But if I, mix up too much water, then you've got to add a bit more paint in it. You go one way too far and then the other way too far. I've got it in a wet palette, which I'm really, really glad I've got. Like, it's really working for me lately. And it does take a minute for that moisture to kind of get in there and, kind of work with the paint and work for you. But until you get it, it's a bit of a, And of course, I wanted to be down here in the studio painting away way earlier, but just technical issues, because I am not the best broadcaster.
What was I going to say? It's interesting. Obviously, that is. I think a lot of people probably struggle with that. It's that almost that repetition.
Yeah, right.
And I paint an elite army at the moment, and so I feel for any of you guys out there painting hordes, your orcs, your tyranids, your guard. I feel for you guys. There's so many models to paint. But then I think Adrian said the same thing, and this is something that's helped me on this kind of journey that we've kind of embarked on 4 months ago. is that actually when you finish a unit though, that little kick of motivation is what gets you into that next unit. And kind of when I found being in the middle of this unit at the moment, well, actually, I know how chuffed I felt getting that first unit painted, and trying to go there, trying to sort of chase that again, has really helped.
Yeah, and that's one way of really kind of cracking the whip, isn't it? Is looking back at the unit that you just spent 4 or 5 weeks doing, or however long it's taken you, and going, yeah, that's the payoff. That looks really good.
Yeah.
And like Jeff said in the comments a couple of weeks ago, you'll be your own worst critic, and you'll always say that that you're not perfect enough, and that are you ever completely satisfied with what you've done? No, of course you're not. But when you get onto the next project, you build on it and you build on it, and I'm really at the moment as a painter really pushing that personal drive. Yeah. Like I'm really trying to slow my process down, really work on my technique, which is why it's taking me so long to get these zone ropes done, because in the past what I've done is I've just slapped paint on it, been half satisfied and moved on, which is why I'm having to redo that Carnifex,
Yeah, and actually Jeff just made another good point, and it's something I struggle with, is that I don't have a specific workplace that's kind of set up, ready to go, so I can't just sort of sit there, have half-hour painting and move on. I've got to drag everything out. Everything's stored away in different places. So for me to paint, it's just that fast. And I know it doesn't actually take that long in the grand scheme of things to kind of get everything out and ready.
But it's the motivation to get it all out and exactly. Do it all, isn't it? Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is.
It's a good point made there by Jeff. And one day, hopefully soon, I will have a set workplace.
Yeah.
It's a little workbench for being able to have all this stored.
I share a house with 3 other people, one of them being my partner, and we've got a cat. There's a lot going on. This is a small space in this house that's big enough for all of us, but all living our lockdown lives together. It's actually quite restrictive, and I'm very fortunate that they allow me the space. But because it's a shared house, if they need this room for anything or they want to use it for something, then I have to be prepared to break the studio down. And during that half-term week, they wanted to use it as a dining room so that we could have meals and stuff. And do you know what? Everyone's entitled to the space, and that takes the time out, doesn't it? That you kind of slows you down. We've got another viewer in, and in the comments already, we've got haha Vegeta, that must look good.
It's anime, so we're talking about the different inspirations you can get, and Kieran's just said he's got a Weird Boy themed sort of anime manga style as well. So again, love to see the pictures.
Cool.
It'd be absolutely fantastic to get them up on the Facebook group.
Yeah, please do. I want to see everyone's work.
What is everyone painting tonight?
There it is! Kyle, where were you? 38 minutes into the show. What was going on?
I'm trying to let it come organically, Danny. Just, waiting for that right segue to get in there. Beautiful. Obviously, Kieran's got his battle wagon on the go. I'll probably put a bit of money on Luke doing some Sisters of Battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, called it. Beautiful. We know is it the Fortress of Redemption that's been finished? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah. Adrian's Fortress of Redemption was looking really good. Adrian?
We've got, obviously, I know the Death Guard Codex is out. I think that's one of the many armies you collect. Are you focusing on that? Have we had Dark Angels? Is Dark Angels out at the moment?
Oh, do you know? I don't know.
I feel it has. I've seen a lot on sort of social media recently.
Yeah. Of course, there's a lot going around about Ravenwing, Deathwing, and that's what Adrian's been working on recently as well, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So it'd be interesting to kind of find out how they're going. Any new models that are coming out from them. Some of the new models that are coming out at the moment are just fantastic. They're so detailed. The models that are coming out just look fantastic. And it's why I'm praying that Eldar Guardians and sort of Guardsmen get a rework in this edition, just to finally, they must be about a decade old now, just to see how they come out as sculpts, because they should be fantastic.
One of our viewers, a couple of our viewers are Eldar players. My housemate's an Eldar player, and they've been out of the love for a long time. It'd be nice to see it. And I really like the Eldar. I've never, ever been interested in playing them because I suppose they're a common opponent to me. I find them really complex as well because they're such a specialist army that they can be elite or they can just be broad scope, whatever you want. But the specific details of them are that they have very elite individual units and they have aspects. So you want a close combat unit, you have a very particular type of unit for it. You want a scouting unit, you have a very particular unit for that, and there's no divergence in there. But you can just kind of go broad if you want to, just have like kind of civilian hustle as well, can't you, if you want to?
I've always seen Eldar as that sort of, if you're talking to a new player into the game, into the hobby, you would direct them more probably towards Space Marines because they're a lot more forgiving. Units can survive a bit more, they can fulfill a couple of roles, whereas you look at Eldar, they're very specialist. If you use Eldar cleverly and correctly, you get those roles, those units with certain roles in the right place, doing the right thing. They're fantastic, but they will fold like a paper bag if you get it wrong. They're very glass cannony.
They can be very fast glass cannon as well. They're all about speed, accuracy, precision. They're about short range but powerful weaponry, which they can move on a dime with, and that's cool. It's not my forte. I prefer to just be fighting them rather than with using them.
I'm really looking forward to see where they go in this edition, because we've seen weapons just get really, really strong in this current edition. A lot of sort of damage 2, damage 3, AP started to creep down as well. And obviously Eldar are known for their really high-powered advanced weapons, combined with their mobility in this now very objective-based last couple of editions. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with these codexes.
Well, my housemate in one of the tournaments that I ran did really well a couple of editions ago, because distortion cannons have always been a thing, but they obviously had the damage D, which was just basically if you get hit by that type of weapon, you're just going to be dead. But you can just have that weapon prolific through your Eldar army, and it was considered to be extremely overpowered, especially in the hands of someone who knew exactly what to do with it, like my housemate. So he kind of felt like maybe he shouldn't take them. But maybe in a game that is starting to see armor creep and wounds creep and things like that, that potentially that might have more of a part to play by bringing those weapons back in again. I know that their weapons are getting more powerful because they're hiking wounds and armor and things like that, just because of the natural scope of the game, with Primaris Marines, etc. So it's just about that natural evolution, but it's about finding a comfortable spot for all armies to enjoy, isn't it? What's lacking in my Tyranid army at the moment is long range support. Well, not long range support, but guns essentially, because we're all tooth and claw. I really suffer on that front at the moment.
I've made a big conscious effort to make sure with the Blood Angels that I've got a good shooting contingent, just because I get so it's a melee army. You take Blood Angels because you want to get up into someone's face and hit them with chainsaws, but I go too far. We've played enough games. We've talked about these games on this channel. I don't want to bore people by talking about the same games over and over again, but I've learned my lessons from trying to play pure elite, just combat armies, is that they struggle. You need to be able to compete in all the phases of the game, and it does hold you back if you don't.
It does, especially now that your consolidation after winning an assault is really hampered. And it's probably my biggest gripe with the game at the moment, is that usually you are allowed to consolidate up to D6 inches. So you'd roll a dice, that many inches to consolidate in any direction. Now you can move up to 3, but only towards the enemy, or that you have to end up closer to an enemy unit. And that leaves you stranded and standing out in the open, and it makes you consider your choices when you're going to charge. Like, I'm going to win, I'm probably going to beat everybody up with this unit, and then I'm going to be stood out in the open. I know that forces your strategic assets elsewhere in the battlefield, but a 25 power game, or even in the bigger game, sometimes you're just going to be left stranded, and you're going to almost sacrifice that unit by doing it, and that leaves me a little bit concerned and upset about the future of my units. But I'll still do it because I like to get up in your face.
One of the things is, and I think this is where people might have gone wrong, especially older people that have played all the generations of 40k, and I could be wrong here. Like we say, we are not, this channel isn't for being the most up-to-date rules and getting into the minutiae of the tactics and rules, but I think consolidates now. You can consolidate after every combat, not just when you win a combat and wipe out a unit. So consolidates now are just a normal part of the combat sequence. Is you pile in, you consolidate.
You pile in, but you can't follow up to another unit. No matter when you consolidate, you can only consolidate a certain distance, which is really short, and you can only consolidate in a direction that ends up being closer to the enemy, and often that is stood out in the open in front of a very powerful gun line.
Yeah. But then there's some interesting stratagem, especially for the combat heavy armies, to sort of increase those ranges as well. But yeah, it's the fact that you can now move those 3 inches in any direction, as long as you end up closest to the nearest model at the end of every combat phase. So it's more about thinking, where are you going to place those models going into combat to allow that unit to get the most out of that move, no matter what.
Oh, Kyle, I can't be thinking that. I've got hormones, mate.
I like that nuance. I like that it's added a bit of nuance, and it's given a little bit.
I need to be able to pick up all
combat.
my models in a bucket and chuck them at your models across the table.
You need movement trays. You're thinking old school Warhammer Fantasy. I want unit trays, and I want to push as many Hormagaunts in your face as possible. Deal with them. It is a lot easier with an elite army to think about.
Well, in the last game that I played, which admittedly was a couple of weeks ago, because half term and all the other reasons we were just talking about, but I played against my Eldar opponent in my housemate, and we started off on opposite sides of the board, which is much smaller now. And I got first turn. Yeah, I thought, actually in this position I don't really want first turn, but when you get it, take it by the horns, right? So I charged my Hormagaunts, and I was a few inches out from being able to charge in the first turn. So I splurged all my command points on using stratagems, which gave me an additional move, which didn't penalize me for then charging, etc. So I moved again, and then I charged and instantly wiped out all the guys' jet bikes before they could even be touched when the game started, and I was well happy with myself. And then I lost. and that's how that game went. And that's how that game went. Yeah.
And then I still lost.
Because snipers, man, snipers.
It's funny that you said, because I was shocked when you said that, because a lot of the comments have been, and again, I hate having to rely on this. It's just because I haven't had the chance to play 9th edition yet due to not being able to see anybody. But most people have found snipers to be underwhelming. But the fact you're playing that combat patrol size, I think, that smaller size, which I know we both really enjoy playing, I think that's when they start to really come into their own, because they can really make a difference in that smaller size, I feel.
Well, it was Eldar Rangers, and they've all got sniper rifles, and their warlord was Illic Nightspear, which is the sniper warlord, and he just happens to have the coolest sniper rifle in the world and all the skills and whatever. Picked my warlord off. I only moved him one movement turn, picked him off, killed him instantly, and then shot off all my other stuff, and then that was that. And I was left really struggling. Snipers.
What are the synapse rules now with Tyranids?
So 24-inch range, and if you're in synapse, you automatically pass all morale tests, so there's no need to worry about being instantly killed off by losing combat or whatever. So you always pass all your morale checks. If you're not in morale, you also suffer -1 to your ballistic skill, and you have to shoot the nearest unit, or make a morale check or a leadership check to be able to shoot at something else. It's not massively penalizing, but when your skills for the bulk of your army aren't that high, that can be restrictive. I make sure that, especially in a small game where the tables are quite small, is just flood it with synapse if you can. So zone thropes or warriors, etc. There's a lot that can do it, and you can also take nodes and things too. You used to be able to, I don't know if you still can, but it's
a shame, because I used to love popping Tyranid synapse and watching them all run away and crumble, but that doesn't seem to be the kind of go with Tyranids anymore.
No, by breaking synapse isn't going to cause that chain reaction that used to happen, that we all if the creature that was controlling you dies or is out of range, suddenly you have to make a check to see what happens to you. That doesn't happen anymore. But the ability to be able to just run straight at the face of an enemy no matter what, and then get decimated and not run away, that's cracking. That's worth its weight in gold. And when you find yourself stranded without any synapse, you suddenly start reviewing your choices, going like, oh no, I'm actually gonna, because now in combat it's really easy to lose so much more of your troops from losing a round of combat and surviving at the end. If you lose that leadership test, people are just going to start walking or dying or whatever it is. That attrition, though is I think is slightly less likely when it happens, is very, very detrimental. So being able to pass without even being able to roll is fantastic. It makes you think about what you're doing,
especially in those big squads.
Yeah, in my crusade at the moment, I roll 20 Hormagaunts and 20 Termagants. Termagants are the shooty ones, Hormagaunts are the fighty ones. Because I like the little critters. I like that horde style of it. I like the Starship Troopers or the aliens thing. We spoke about that before, haven't we? Yeah, but I like that feel. I also like to psych my opponents out by just fielding lots of stuff. Back in 7th and 8th edition, I was renowned as a Space Marine player to eke every point out and make it count, so that when you start putting your units down on the table, people are going, really? More? Is it still coming? What? I thought we finished 50 points ago, just by having all this stuff. But then, of course, actually being able to use it on the table, because you've got to be able to use it. But just having that psychological edge on your opponent before the game starts goes a long way. And by placing down hordes of rippers and spore mines and whatever is just, yeah, that's worth its weight in gold.
We've had a few comments going as well whilst we've been chatting away.
Nice.
Kieran's just said he tries to get sort of 4 colours on his boys, and then he'll just pick 3 at a time and just work on 3 at a time.
Oh, that's cool. Because that's a subject we were talking about a few episodes ago now, wasn't it? It's about how you work through your armies. If you've got like a whole horde army, do you just go assembly line, pick a few models, or do you just do one at a time, whatever? And we seem to decide on the fact that it just depends on how many you've got to get through. Yeah, it's a really good way of doing it.
Yeah, and again, it's just nice to hear some different approaches. Adrian saying the fortress isn't complete yet.
Oh, I thought it was.
Yeah, that's a huge thing to be doing. And obviously, I know Adrian's got his Dark Angels, and we see some pictures of some of the, let me get this right, Deathwing Terminators go up.
Yep.
Let me just go through. Yeah, it is out. Yeah, the Deathwing. That's what I've been hearing. I've been hearing a lot online about how just beastly the Deathwing is at the moment.
And they should be, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point of them. As traitorous as they are, they should still be good at what they do. Got one more.
Do you know, I'm not going to poke at that hornet's nest, Kyle.
Yeah. You know what? I poke at it, but I'm just not educated in it. Like, I know enough to annoy a Dark Angels player, but that's about as far as it goes.
Kick it, giggle, and then leave all your mates to deal with the outcome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Get lots of things quoted at me that I don't understand, and then carry on playing Blood Angels.
The superior Space Marine army.
Yep. Literally the Aryan army. They're blonde. Anybody that becomes a Blood Angel becomes blonde-haired.
How are you feeling now about getting on with your Sanguinary Guard and your Death Company? Because you've got obviously a lot of gold to work through your Sanguinary Guard, and you've got a lot of black to be working through, which you were unsure about in the past.
I was. I'm more confident with the gold. I think I'm going to go with the oil. I think I'm going to take an oil-based paint.
Nice.
That brown. Yeah, I think that sort of brassy brass. And then...
It's not brassy brass, though, is it?
It's not brassy brass. It's bronzy bronze. And then apply that oil. I just really liked. I think it's going to give me that grim dark effect that I'm going for on the reds. With the rest of my force, I think it's going to look really nice. And then with the black, I am going to experiment a little bit with some blue dry brushing. I think some grey, and then a little bit of blue dry brushing over the grey. Kind of see what goes with that.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, there's enough detail on the Death Company models. They are a fantastic kit. They've got a lot of detail that is done in different colours, a lot of sort of bone colours and red colours that hopefully, because I was worried that the black would just get washed out, like it would just make the models look boring, just having too much black.
I saw some models on a forum just earlier on today of Black Templars, and they've got a lot more colours going on. They've got like white shoulder pads and things like that, and that was on a forum where they just get painted grimdark, and it was a beautiful colour scheme. It was done really, really well, and it was a little bit of grey highlighting, dry brushing a little bit, and then mostly just stains with oils and other such things. So yeah, but very, very minimal. No blue highlighting in there at all. But yeah, it I suppose just depends on each painter's approach.
Yeah, I mean, I need to go into and have a look at a few more approaches for the black, but the gold I'm feeling a lot more positive on.
Because you've got them all ready to go, haven't you? Both sets.
Yeah. So I've got 10 Death Company and 5 Sanguinary Guard to go, and then I'm very close to my force being done at that point.
That's
I'm
exciting.
adding characters and bikes to get myself up to 50 power points, which I'm just looking out for at the moment. I'm trying to build my characters kind of kit bash from scratch, so I'm just looking out for the parts that I want from bits companies and eBay and things like that. So it's getting there. I've got a few parts now. Close.
You're not sold on land speeders, are you?
No, I just don't like them.
Is that what it is, or do you just feel it hasn't got a place in a Blood Angels force?
No, I think they absolutely have a place. So the idea for my Crusade army was I just want things that are fast. They've got to be able to be fast and hit hard. Land speeders are fast. You can give them a multi-melter, fantastic, heavy bolter, whatever. You've got this new one. What's that? I forgot what the Primaris version is.
Storm, I think it's called.
Yeah, it's something along those lines. And there's just something about it. I just don't like the look. Never have done with land speeders. The only land speeder I liked was their scout version. That was like a little scout transport.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I thought that looks like it would be useful, but yeah, it's the looks for me.
See, I'm the other way. I really like the land speeder, and I don't particularly like the scouty one.
Oh really? Oh, there you go.
It's all about personal preference, and as we've said many times before, it's all about what you like and what you think is cool, not about how it really performs. I'm very inclined to get a unit that I just think it looks awesome. I'm going to paint it up and I'm going to have a lot of fun, probably make some pew sounds as I do it and move it around the table, and I'm happy. I don't care about anything else.
I still have nightmares from playing a friend who ran 6 of those scout land speeders with 6 units of scouts, and that's when they had the launchers on them that made your squads blind if you got hit by them, back when there was more rules to Warhammer 40k, and it was just a nightmare to face. They were just horrible. They're such a fast army, and it was so debilitating to play against. Yeah, it was.
Blind was a hell of a rule, and I remember playing against my Eldar housemate in a tournament that I ran, and he just took swooping hawks, and they just came down with their guns fired, and they would just blind you, and even if they didn't hurt you, you'd just be wandering around going, I can't see anything. Yeah, it was absolutely devastating not being able to see what you want to shoot at. Crazy stuff. Anyway, we are just like a couple of minutes out from going to an intermission, so I just thought I'd leave it there in case anyone's got anything they want to bring before we go for a quick break. For those of you that are new, we normally take about 10 minutes. I'll play some music and you just come on back. It's a good opportunity for you to go stretch your legs, go to the bathroom or grab a drink or something if you need to. You should definitely change your paint water. I've literally painted about an inch. I'm really struggling to get the flow on. It's starting to happen, but yeah, I'm just such a slow painter. That's what it that's why I struggle. The motivation to kind of go, yeah, you know what, this is going to take me an hour just to get this head done, and that's just that first kind of layer, if you like. I really want to do a little bit more to the acid pool base as well. I also think that because I was rushing a little bit to get the show up and ready, that I probably feel just a little bit unprepared.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. But what is important at the moment is I'm really enjoying the process. I mean, I'm enjoying getting better and learning and pushing a little bit.
Nice.
And I'm enjoying pushing myself through a model that I would probably have given up on Those spore mines, for example, when we first started doing the show, and I did those spore mines, I had those spore mines sat on my desk for months before we made the show. And my excuse was, and it is an excuse, my excuse was that we're contemplating doing a show, I'll save them for that. Well, that's not getting anything done, is it? I've got loads of stuff to do.
What you mean? I mean, I'd like to say I had a good excuse like that to not get my hordes of grey painted, but I didn't. I had no excuse at all. I was just, no reason to. But just this idea of getting to play a Crusade tournament soon and being able to put an army on the table that's actually painted. I've got some nice time. I get to have a chat with some awesome people, actually get some painting done. I love it.
Oh dear, do you know, I'm gonna have to step away from this. That's what you were saying a little while ago, is that sometimes when it's difficult, step away from it, come back at it from a different angle. I'm gonna go get myself another drink. I think I'm gonna say it's a weekend, and I'm gonna go get myself a glass of wine. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna chill and whatever. So let's have a little look, just check in the comments there, see if anyone's put anything in. Adrian has said that you might be able to see it on the Chaplain on a bike that I put up earlier on. Oh yeah, he's put up some photos of his Dark Angels up on the Facebook page.
I am in fact just going to look at that now, because I will be adding a Chaplain on a bike to this Crusade horse, so I'm very interested to see how yours has come out.
That'd be excellent. Yeah, cool. All right, well, in the meantime, if you need to go and get yourself a break, it's a good chance to walk away from the table. If not, we'll see you back here in about 10 minutes anyway. Until then, see you in a minute. Cheers. Yo, we're back. I had to step away. The paint wasn't flowing. I was having a bit of a stressful time with it. Went away, got myself a glass of red because, you know, it's the weekend and it's upon us. And I've had a little sit down, back to it, and it's starting to work. I think I just needed to walk away from it a little bit. Stressful day trying to set up for the show. Yeah. Kyle also went away and has come back too. Here he is. He's back. Yeah, cool.
I made it back.
How's your painting going over there? You alright?
Yeah. I mean, do you know what? I shouldn't say this when we talk about motivation for painting, but I've given up on basing tonight. I'm just going to spray paint them and then go from there.
Yeah.
I've actually just really enjoyed just having a chat. I always say this, it's my favourite part, having a chat.
You do like to chat.
I do like to chat, especially at the moment when we don't always get to, just missing that personal interaction with people.
Oh, yeah. It's so close though. It's so close. It's in grasp, isn't it? So yeah, during that interval, I just sat back. I'm like, right, I'm just going to calm down a little bit. I'm just going to focus, glass of wine, went upstairs, saw my other half, and I'm like, I come back down, and it's starting to happen now. I just think it's been a bit of a stressful day. So much went wrong with the show and stuff earlier because I'm just not that good at it. That it's just kind of wound me up a little bit, and I'm starting to kind of get that flow. My paint's mixed well. I come down with loads of projects because I had a feeling that I was going to be moving between them all today, but that's not going to happen. I did put a bit more green on that base, but I put the Carnifex aside. Just because I think I'm going to focus on this one here. It's always good to have like a couple of things in case you do like, oh, do you know what, I'm going to let that dry, come back to it, or it's not working for me or whatever, but actually, yeah, whatever, I'm just going to crack on with this zone throat, get this unit done perhaps. Of course, if you're having any problems with motivation, drive or skill or whatever, maybe it's just a tough old day for you, or if you're having a particularly good day of it, let us know because we want to know. Kyle also just said, you said something interesting about the Facebook page, that you were struggling to see anybody else's posts on there, weren't you?
Yes, but now I've worked it out. It is me just being terrible at technology and not a big fan of Facebook in general.
Yeah, it's
I've always tried to check on Easy 8 because I absolutely love this show and everything that's about it. And Danny went, have you clicked on the community button? I was like, oh.
Go on.
Just trolling through. I'm just so amazed. I'm loving that. I'm seeing names on there that obviously don't get to watch it live. People that watch it afterwards, that they're posting. I'm looking at all the stuff that's going up. I see Kieran in the comments has put up some of his awesome sort of conversions.
I haven't had a look yet, but I will be on straight after the show. Yeah,
I saw Staff went out and bought some tanks after we've been painting tanks.
Had a chat with Staff during the week, during a private chat. A lot of you was getting in contact with me. That was a good purchase. We'll talk about that another time.
I see Mark's got up his Vipers and his jet bikes.
They're looking really good.
I just want to just give some shout out to people that don't get to watch live. Like Mike's put up about he was asking some questions about which wing looked better, the left or the right. He had a couple different sort of choices going on. Beautifully painted again. Love the idea of the colour scheme. Leslie looks like she's put up a lot. There's some beasts of Nurgle, all sorts, some greater demons, some other gribblies on there.
Excellent.
Darren, I know Darren obviously, if he can be here, likes to be active in the chat as well.
Yeah, he's really into all the armour and all the tanks and things like that. He was the guy that recommended me that book that I bought at the garden centre because that's where you buy tank books. Yeah. Loads of stunning advice that goes into the community there. The problem with that Facebook page is I think I chose the wrong format because when you set up a Facebook group or business page or whatever it would be, there are different kind of formats or layouts and presentation styles, and I just, in the eagerness to get Easy 8 set up when like society completely crumbled away, I think I just kind of chose the wrong one, so it's not that intuitive to use, which is why I always say to everybody, head on over to the Facebook page and hit the community tab, because that's where everybody else can post. Otherwise, you're just seeing stuff that I put up there. I might change that. We have got a really good following on Facebook, and I'm quite loath to just start over again. So if there's a way of migrating everything over and have the connectivity still there so that people don't have to like work it all out again and lose a certain base of our community, if I can't do it by migrating, then I won't do it at all, and we'll just have to suffer with the fact that I chose wrong. But hey, we're here every week, we're live, and that's the important part of that. We do of course have Instagram. I do also have Twitter, but I just don't think the community is big enough to really gain anything out of Twitter. And we have experimented with Twitch in the past as well, but obviously that's a lot of load on my little computer because this is run out of a little corner room in my house. It's run off a laptop, which is a very good laptop, but it just doesn't have the beef to be able to deal with that workload of dealing with a call with yourself, having all of the broadcast stuff go in there, and then going out to YouTube and Twitch was just too much, as you remember. It was episode 11. If you're new and want to see it, it was a dire show. We had the most awesome sign off ever, and it just cut us off. It was just like, you're done 5 minutes before the end. Okay, cool, whatever.
That was that seamless show where just everything decided to go wrong that could go wrong, but we had fun with it, and then we thought we'd cracked it at the end, and nope, cut out.
Just not cool. Just not cool at all.
I just want to say I am still mesmerised. I am still just scrolling back through. I'm just loving how many posts we've been getting on Easy 8.
We've got a really big community there as well.
I should have worked this out by now.
We've got a really big community there as well. I say we only have about 10 viewers roughly. Sometimes it has been way more. Other times it's been really small live. But I say within an hour after finishing the show, that number quadruples. So there's a lot of people that are there watching us on replay. So yeah, there's a big community there that sit around on Facebook. We're also affiliated with the Hostile Galaxy, which is an online magazine who helped us kind of get started, and that brought us a sleuth of American viewers. So yeah, and you can go and see all their stuff because all the links and everything to the Hostile Galaxy and all the other people that in the description are all there. Normally, this part of the show we do put a little time aside to talk about Community Spotlight, where we show off your miniatures. We've even had some of your miniatures, Kyle, haven't we, on here before in Community Spotlight?
Yes,
where if you're just interested, you want to show your stuff off, perhaps I see them and go like, hey, can we have a look at those? But don't bank on me seeing your stuff and asking. If you want to show your stuff and you want to kind of get it out there, then just get in contact with me, drop it in the private chat on Facebook or in the live chat here in the description, anywhere you want, and I will pick it up and we'll have a chat and I will show your miniatures off loud and proud to everyone on this live show. Also, we put a little bit of time aside to give shout outs to people if they have their own businesses, if they have their own if they work for a company and they just think it's really cool and you want to kind of give a little bit of time to the show, then we are more than happy to talk about it. We spoke about loads of different companies in the past, people that we've just had really good service from, good feedback for, people who've got in contact with us and said, hey, can you show off some of our stuff, or I've seen some stuff and I've gone like, I want to talk about that. Even my dad has his own business, and I've shouted about that as well. All of the people that we've mentioned in the past, again, to the link, in the description of this video, all of those links are all there. And if you want to go and have a look at them, I highly recommend it. Please do. There's some really cool stuff in there, and we're affiliates with people that we've mentioned in the past. It's all there for you to go and have a look at. And also, if you would like to be a guest on the show, there's more than enough space on this screen. Again, just get in contact with us and we will sort that out for you. So you can just come along. There's no pressure on you. You don't have to do anything. There's no script or anything like that. Just come along. You'll have your own little screen on the screen and you can just join in with the live voice chat and have your video feed up there. It's best to have the video. I think that would be kind of cool. So yeah, that's that. So yeah, if you're interested, give us a shout.
It makes me giggle every time when we say it's not scripted. Like, it's super not obvious that we're not scripted. But believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, this is not scripted. This is 100% off the top of our heads.
Yeah. This is a painting club. It's not a telly show. Yeah, cool. So if you are interested in this show, if you like what we do, then please do consider subscribing. I brought up the thing for you there. Kyle can't see us live, so I'll let him know verbally. We've got a subscribe banner on the screen. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Whatever. Please do subscribe to our show because every little bit really does help us out. Follow us on Facebook, like us on Facebook, subscribe, like our videos, and spread the word that we exist and that we are here. Tell your friends. That would be great. Thanks very much. Anyway, I'm going to take us back over to the workbench. Here we go. Cool. Let me get stuck back into what I was doing.
had a couple comments come in.
I
Kieran
can
just
see him
said
pop
that
in there.
he's been working in a primary school today and had the kids designing and making their own buildings. And unfortunately, they all wanted to take him home. Otherwise, they would have been his terrain for a battlefield. But I absolutely love it as an idea. I might sneak that one in. I've used dice for teaching odds. So what is the likelihood that I'll roll 1 6 on 1 dice? What is the likelihood that I'll roll 2 6s on 2 dice? And basically been teaching the kids math hammer about how to make good decisions, when to charge, when not to charge, but without them knowing it.
Maybe I could, I don't know, outsource a lot of my painting.
I don't think you'd be happy with the results.
Wow, it's a horde army, right?
Yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
So, Kyle, you asked me before the interval,
Yes.
what is it that I struggle with?
Yes.
What is it I find hard? I'd actually like to know what other people struggle with. I mean, there's going to be the obvious one that I spoke about. I'll get the obvious answer out there. But if there's other things that people struggle with, I want to know too. But what is it that you find? What is it you find easy? What is the cool bit about it? What do you enjoy the most? I mean, the satisfaction we know comes from having completed miniatures, but there must be a part of the process that you enjoy.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Is there any technique in particular you like doing or achieving?
Yeah.
Or
is there any bit where you go, oh yeah, I get to do this bit now?
I enjoy dry brushing. Number one, because it's easy and quick, but I really just like the effect, and there's just something about it that I find oddly satisfying.
You have
really
nailed that
enjoy
technique as well.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. It's coming along. But yeah, I just really, really enjoy that. I love the effect you get. Some of the sort of what do you call it? What's the I've always called it the paint squirt gun.
It's definitely not a scripted show. You must be talking about this bad boy here, the airbrush, yeah? The squirty paint gun.
Squirty paint gun. I wanted to call it a paint gun, and I knew it wasn't that. So yeah, that's it. The airbrush. Some of the source lighting and the blending you get is phenomenal, and would love to have a go at that at some point.
As soon as we're allowed to, have friends over and stuff, you're more than welcome to come down.
Come down for a little workshop.
Yeah. And we might even be able to put that out as an additional show, perhaps, or maybe we'll just keep it as a private thing and just have some fun and play
Well, I'll be happy to post up my first attempt at airbrushing a model up onto the Facebook. Oh, Kieran's popped in. Leaving a model overnight and looking at it the next day when you finish.
Yes. Yeah, that's a really good answer. Yeah, you're right. Especially when you're painting by night. I've got all my lamps all set up, and they're all really good night lights and things, like true lights and things. But there's nothing that compares to coming down in the morning, opening up the curtains and letting the fresh daylight go in and go like, yeah, I ruined that model last night. Or going do you know what? That's a really good model. I'm really happy with what I've done.
Yeah. I mean, I did that with mine. That first squad I did with that new technique, I did them. I was like, yeah, I'm quite happy with that. I'm fine. They'll do. And then I looked at them the next day, and I was like, I am really happy with that. Actually, they have come out better than I thought they did on first look. And then I think I got so excited, I sent you a picture of them.
That was when we decided to show them off, wasn't it, on Community Spotlight?
Yeah, I had my other half trying to work out the best light with a torch and all sorts to try and just take the pictures. I got so chuffed, and that kicks in the motivation that I got chuffed about doing it. Maybe wanted to paint more, but yeah, definitely. Jeff said, yeah, he likes dry brushing too. I can't imagine how much dry brushing you must do, Jeff. Be painting sort of terrain and some of the sizes of the pieces that you do as well. It must take a while. I'm surprised you don't have like huge dry brushes, like wall paint style dry brushes.
I'll let you into a trade secret. He does.
He does. Yeah, I thought that might be coming. And Luke said he enjoys kit bashing, and that's something that I was going to mention as well. That's kind of one of the things I enjoy, is the modelling side rather than the painting side. But yeah, the kit bashing is fantastic. And yeah, I see why. It's something that's really satisfying about just playing around. I blue tack, I don't know if everyone else does, but I'll blue tack bits in and work poses out and swap pieces in and out until I'm happy. Yeah, I really enjoy that as well.
Yeah, that dry fitting process is really important to get the desired effect at the end, isn't it?
Yeah. And then Adrian said as well, just opening that box like a child at Christmas, just getting that box,
yeah,
taking that cellophane
even
off.
though you know exactly what's inside because you've had 3 boxes of Marines in the past, but open it up and going, new plastic. Yeah.
And like I said, it's all about potential, because that could be a brand new box, you know exactly what's in there, but you also know you've got a massive box of bits of things that you can play around with, add those little touches and flares here and there. Yeah, I love it. It just reminds me, actually, of a tiny little point. I can't remember if I mentioned this before, Danny. Talking about Crusade, and I was just looking at somebody's homebrew rules for the Crusade rules.
You talk about Crusade? Yeah, I don't recall.
I don't know if I mentioned this one, but their homebrew rule I thought was really nice. That if you won the battle or achieved one of your sort of specific agendas, the opponent had to open up their bits box to you, and you're allowed to take one thing from that bits box. So
that's a great idea. I'd be losing stuff left, right, and centre, but
yeah. But it's so you can then put it on that model, or one of those models. So you tie in everybody's
a little bit of trophy collecting and display.
Exactly that. And I just thought, what a fantastic, especially between friends.
Oh, dude, we need to do that. Whoever started that needs to have a link on this channel so that we can give tribute to, because that's a great idea. Yeah, that's good.
Great little bit of personal touch. Yeah.
Yeah, my dad Jeff has put in there, like you say, you're seeing it next morning with fresh eyes. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know
although, because Jeff being my dad, for those new viewers that are in there today, obviously I've seen a lot of the models throughout my life. That's why I got involved in all of this, of all those really cool, super professional builds that he's made. That doesn't mean that they don't go through disastrous cycles in their life, and I'll make him chuckle to himself now. I remember the old medieval buildings that you painted, and they looked absolutely gorgeous, and they were for a customer that had to have them straight away, very, very soon, and there was a struggle to get them out. And he's like, right, I've got to stay up all night down. I was young, so he's like, you got to go to bed. So I went up to bed, and he stayed up all night painting these things, and they looked gorgeous, he tells me, because I came down in the morning and I saw bright blue medieval buildings, because during the night, this is before daylight bulbs were really a thing, so he was painting by fluorescent, like normal fluorescent bulbs, painting whites and different colours and hues and things, and it just came out. Like the medieval timber framed Tudor buildings with the black wooden frames and the white backgrounds, and they were blue. You've got to do those again right now. Yeah, so coming down in the morning can be an eye-opener. But yeah, for me, it's really about learning something new and getting good at it. I'm by no means a great painter. I've had a lot of successes, and I've been able to kind of hide things and pull things off. But I'm really pushing my skills lately, and I'm enjoying that process, and I'm getting a small amount better every time. Does that make sense? And when I see that little bit of progression, I'm like, yeah, it really does pay just to slow it down. Like today, I'm really struggling, and it's just trying to resist that temptation to get a dry brush out and just go all over it, because I really want to push a different style. And I'm getting a lot out of it, and I've had a lot of feedback, even from the earlier stuff, that has made me go like, oh, this is worth it.
No, lovely. And I mean, that goes back, and I know we harp on about it, but that's the idea of being a part of the community. It's not just about, it's not about learning to paint, it's about just having some people to talk to about the hobby. And it's lovely. And what's nice is the positivity in the community, and that's the idea behind it. Doesn't matter where you are at your painting. Like you say, I'm one of the newest painters here, and that's kind of my role on the show, is to take this on as quite a new, fresh painter, and just kind of show it. It doesn't matter where you are with your painting and your skill. It's just enjoy the hobby. You will see progression if you stick at it, and have fun with it.
I see that Kieran put a comment in there asking where everybody's from. Of course, you can freely tell people where you're from. Obviously, just be aware that, there's the internet, and giving your location away could be detrimental. But I'm quite happy to tell you that we are in the southwest of the UK here in the studio. I'm based in Devon. Yeah.
And I'm in the the better county where they serve their scones properly.
Shut your mouth.
Cornwall. The great scone divide.
Look, you've got better road quality than us, but that's it, all right? Yeah, of course, we met through work. We used to work together here in Devon, and I know that there's a good amount of our community that is based nearby, because that's where your community starts from. But we, as a community, actually span the world. We have a viewer in Sydney, Australia, and we have viewers that go as far back as Texas, where we've got quite a few viewers from the States over there. We've got a gentleman who watches from Idaho, and we've also got a gentleman in California, and those are the ones that I can remember. So yeah, we do span almost all the way around. If we can get the Pacific Islands in, that'll be pretty chuffed.
Oh,
yeah.
I'd love a connection out in the Pacific Islands. I'd make that trip.
Yeah.
To, you know,
get some brushes.
Nice personal, yeah. Right, Kieran's just put up that the better the model is painted, the better that you roll for it, and that would go to explain why I roll so many ones with an elite army. I think an elite grey army, especially my Van Saar from when we played Necromunda. Just I've never had models that could hit and kill things on twos and roll so many ones in my entire life. Became a running joke, I think, but I didn't paint them, Danny. That's why they just needed some paint on them.
I got a little gang of Goliaths, and that's one unit that I don't have the motivation to paint, and I'm not unhappy about it. It was a little unit that I bought to get myself back into gaming, hobbying, because there was a big time when I kind of stepped away from it. I got stuck into my work, and you know what it's like. So they were bought. Me and my housemate bought them. He actually painted his up fully to get himself back into it. I bought them and said I was just going to do what I can as and when I like. I kind of got them half done, but they got me into playing Necromunda with you, with my housemate, and a bunch of guys that we used to work with, and we had some cracking Necromunda tournaments.
Yeah, that was just it was that's what I love that Games Workshop have gone back to. They put a good bit of effort back into their smaller games again.
They call it a specialist game range, don't they?
Yeah, and I absolutely love Warcry. That was my standout.
Warcry was good. Shadespire was a little bit lacking. Warcry was brilliant.
Yeah, Warcry I thought was fantastic. I mean, Necromunda and Blood Bowl, we played a lot of that, and I always loved them. And I only hope, fingers crossed, that they go to Mordheim, because that was one of the. I think it was my first specialist game I played back in the day, but I absolutely loved it. Oh, so we've got Jeff just commenting as well. Sorry, I used to paint D&D figures for a job and loved it, but then had an order for 15mm Vietnam army, hundreds of minis, and I hated doing. Yeah, I can imagine. Oh Jesus, that's very different painting sort of D&D figures and then going to I'm guessing Vietnam army. Oh, yeah, very different kettle of fish. I think painting that style. We've got Adrian Taylor agreeing it's the right way around with the scones. Nothing to do with painting, but it is true.
Just because there's a painting club, man, doesn't mean that you can't talk about scones. You can talk about what you want. Exactly. You can bring it to the table, you talk about it. That's cool with me, man. Bit quieter over here because I'm really getting stuck in now. Starting to flow a bit there.
It's interesting that Jeff said about painting the D&D figures, because I've played quite a bit of D&D, I've played quite a few of the sort of role-play games, absolutely love it, but I have still never played them with the tabletop element. So I've never played them with actual
You want to find yourself a little group that will play 4th edition, because that's very tabletop-y.
It is, but I've read the rules for 4th edition, and I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole.
It put me right off. It put me right off playing it.
It didn't last very long, did it? 4th edition.
I played a couple of games. I followed my gang, who my little local troop, my friends, whatever, we play a lot of sort of role play games with, etc. We used to get into a lot of D&D. I played one run through. It wasn't over one evening. It was over a course of about 6 weeks or so. But this one run through, and I won't go as far as to say I hated it, but it really wasn't for me.
For me, they tried to make it too much like a video game. I had that real vibe of your special, press B in this, and like, do you know what I mean? Like, you get these special attacks that sort of like.
It's funny you should say that. I got a real MMO feel from it.
Yeah.
Of
exactly.
like, get this loot to synergize with this, and you're gonna be given this thing, and then like, I don't want that. I want to be able to charm and talk my way through using these very, specifically designed rules that isn't all about. It's not a board game. It's a role-play game, and the idea is that you make choices. Yeah. But
and that is why,
for what it was, it was still very good. And the people who did play it, I played it with, loved it.
Yeah. And I shouldn't badmouth it because it fills a gap. Do you know what I mean? It's got a niche. If that's the kind of thing you enjoy, it's the perfect game for you.
Absolutely, yeah.
It is. We've all got different. We've spoken about this before. Just sort of flowing on naturally as you do. Fate for me is just. I just can't top Fate for a role-play game.
I knew it was going to come up. Fate is an amazing game. If anyone's interested in role-play games, you don't even have to really have much of a gaming group to be into to go and get Fate. You'll get a lot out of it just by going and getting the book.
It's a free book online as well. You get the.
Of course it is. Yes.
Yeah. They also ask for a donation. I think they suggest $5, so a couple of pounds, but you can get it free if you can't. I know we've got a friend who decides to buy the book to support it. It's always good to support these guys, otherwise they can't make it, because we loved it as a group.
Yeah. We played a couple of games. You ran a one-off, didn't you?
That's my first ever run-in of a game. It wasn't meant to be a one-off. We just found out we didn't find out, but my unorganizedness came back in. But yeah, just loved it, and it was a great first game to sort of be in charge of, the sort of games master as well.
It has a very unique dice system. You won't find it anywhere else. Sorry, struggling with the detail bit there.
Did you just hold your breath to do that, Danny?
Yeah, I did.
I thought you might have.
I've got some really shaky hands tonight. What I need is more wine.
Yeah,
clearly.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, got some shaky hands going in there today. I'll come back to that a little bit later. Yeah, Fate's got a really interesting dice system. It's really unique, and the way that you create your characters is also unique, and you can have fun just by doing that.
It's a game in itself.
It really is.
The way that you make the characters in Fate, I think I would use in every game I play.
And we have since as well. We've always brought an element of that game cycle into it, because it really helps. I mean, what's the point of playing a role-play game is that you're playing an interactive book essentially, aren't you? And it's you're creating the environment, the setting, and whatever, and you all play a part in that. So you should all have a part to play in creating the world and each other's characters. And it doesn't take anything away from you as a player by allowing someone else to have a part to play in it. It just builds, and we even had stubborn players who just couldn't really get on with this new system, and when they finally got it, it just benefited. Yeah, it really is,
because it is very different. It is not as mechanically based.
It is absolutely completely the opposite of mechanical.
So I can see why some people do struggle with that initial sort of holdover, but when it clicks, and it's a fantastic game system. Really was. And
you could use it as a tool for even creating stories. Like if you're like a short story, enthusiast, and you like to make short stories, you're going to get a lot from just that game. It's incredible. Don't even have to play a game. Just go through that kind of creation process at the beginning. It's good fun.
I like that the emphasis on the game wasn't all on the person running it. Everybody, the whole way through every session, still, it was, the players had input, and the person running it wasn't expected to do hours worth of prep.
Lightning dwarves.
And homework. The lightning dwarves, exactly. Yeah, lightning chasing.
Kyle gave us a scenario where we were in a bar, meeting someone and talking.
As every good role play should start.
As you should. And in that bar, in that tavern, just to kind of create an air to it, something you hadn't put an awful lot of thought into was there were some dwarves drinking. I had decided to create and play a character who was very inquisitive and new to this kind of world. Went over to kind of see what they were all about. So then we had to kind of make these dwarves and kind of give them character. And then after a while, it turned out that they were there. They were like lightning thieves or collectors of some sort, weren't they? And then they ended up actually played a major part in our story as becoming our allies. And you just had them as a throwaway scene filler. Yeah. And now they come up every so often, lightning dwarves.
Yeah, the lightning dwarves. Yeah, they were fantastic. And they stayed with and ended up being a part of the crew of your
of our airship. Yeah.
Yeah, they were chasing lightning. They worshipped the lightning god. And they thought it was holy to be struck by lightning. They're wearing their big heavy metal armor with lightning rods coming off of them, and very steampunk style. Definitely.
It was a great game.
Just put a great point there as well. That's another thing. How many of us design our own games and then think it's an amazing game and then never do anything with it? I mean, I think most people in this community have probably done something similar. I think me and you, Danny, we sort of got introduced by the fact that I overheard you and a friend talking about
yeah. So we used to both work at an activity centre where like you're kind of the cool person and you go and do cool sports and you're like an elite pro and you go surfing or rock climbing, and yeah, you definitely don't play D&D. Right? So for years I'd worked this job and I'd kept it to myself, and I was talking to my colleague who I know very well, and we were talking about it. We thought very stealthily in the courtyard of where we worked, in a big open area where we could see people coming from miles away, talking about it, and Kyle just zipped on over and went, I heard Eldar being mentioned.
And then that was it. Well,
and then we never looked back, did we?
Yeah, well, you didn't believe me for a little while, but I wore you down by showing off my knowledge that I genuinely do.
Yeah, we went for a surf one day. We're like, right, let's hash this out.
Yeah. Because I'd been away. I'd been traveling for so long. I'd been away from a community that played these games. We spoke before about me being in Australia, and a person in Games Workshop had helped me get back into the hobby by giving me some miniatures. But I've been away from a community for so long. I've been kind of starved of it. And then to land in North Devon at a new job and then find out that there was actually a big community.
And it turns out there was a massive community as well, because everybody, it was suddenly the cool thing, like the Big Bang Theory, kind of like had this massive effect on people, and it was only for the positive, because in this setting of like really cool athletic, enthusiasts or whatever, suddenly one guy turns up one day and goes, I'm going to run a D&D campaign, and he was a nerd,
a lovely nerd,
but he really, he was such a lovely guy, and he really was a Sheldon in some respects, and he loved it and he ran it, and you and I were like, oh, don't do this, and everybody wanted in. It was a massive game, and we had to refuse. We had to refuse 90%. You didn't?
I had to wait for someone to drop out.
Yeah,
that's how quickly the seats got snapped up.
Yeah, it was crazy, but it was a very busy job, and the hours are very demanding. So yeah, inevitably there were going to be dropouts and things, and people just exploring it, going, actually, this isn't for me, but never a bad word about it.
No, the people that left were very thankful for
having a go.
Play. Yeah, and just gracefully bowed out. Wasn't for them, and you can't ask anything more. Like, have a go, just have a go.
It's just a game.
Yeah.
It's just a game. But that leads me into a nice segue, Kyle, into one of the points I wanted to talk about, and that is, what is it that we find cool about little miniature things anyway? We spoke about in a previous episode some months ago now about why is it we enjoy playing war games.
Yeah. And
that's a subject we could talk about for ages. But this is something, I was watching a tested video by Adam Savage, the holy god of makerism that he is. And it was because of the pandemic, he just decided to put up a live video where people just asked him questions, and someone asked him, what is it that you find cool about little miniature things anyway? And his answer, I remember, being poetically beautiful. It was a fantastic answer, and I thought to myself, oh, I'm gonna have to be able to spit that back out, and I've forgotten what he said. But that's cool, because I don't want to just parrot that. I don't want to just be the guy who has the answers like Adam Savage. I've forgotten what he said, and I remember agreeing with him totally. And I'll put up a link. I just remembered I can't actually link to other videos at this stage of Easy Gates life in the cards in the top corner, only my own videos, but I can put a link in the description, and I will link that particular video. But I'd like to know what it is that you and all of our viewers right now, what it is that we find so cool and fascinating about little miniature things, because it goes beyond war games. There's, you know, train collectors and things, isn't there? There's model villages, you know, there's people who just make cool weird stuff like, you know, movie props and things. But what is it about the miniature scale life? What is it that why do dolls houses, because they've been going on since before Victorian ages, what is it about that? Why do we like that miniaturization? What is so fun about it that we pursue so vividly?
To be honest, being dropped a question like that as well, I don't know if I've got an answer. Like, straight off the top of my head, I don't think I've ever thought about the fact that it's the miniature scale that attracts me.
Because
it's just really interesting.
I remember growing up with my old man who made all these really cool bespoke models for customers, and I always remember saying to him, wouldn't it be cool to be able to shrink down and go inside it? Like, why not just be able to build that as a house or a castle or whatever? Well, you can, they exist. You know? I don't want to go in it, I want to see that one. So what is it about that miniaturization that is so fun? I think it's probably got an awful lot to do with toys and being that inner child and things like that. That's got something to do with it, surely, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was my first kind of port of call where my brain went, is it just the conditioning of toys? Like, you know, have we grown out of that? I mean, I know I haven't actually. Yeah, 100%. It is, I think, that the toy element to it. I'm not saying that these are toys, but it's that idea. It's that, I don't know.
I think they are toys.
Fun.
I think they are toys, and I spend a lot of my adult life trying to reconnect with that childhood, because even though there's a naivety in being a child, there's a lot of innocence, which I think is very valuable. And we play a game with these, so essentially they are toys, and I've got no issue with calling it that. I've got a load of terrain, etc., in a cupboard just behind me over here, stacked up with all the stuff, and my partner calls it the toy box. And she tries to get a reaction out of me. But I'm like, but you're right. It is a toy box, absolutely.
That's the box I put on my toys.
I have no shame in that, because I'm at my happiest when I'm painting, and when I'm playing games or whatever, because it's part of the escapism away from the real world, which I know I've got to go back to, and that's okay. I don't want to play games for every hour every day. That'd be mental. And also the painting of it is an expression of my creativity.
It's funny that you use that word escapism almost within seconds of Jeff putting it's being able to escape real life. It's that escapism. Making your own world, which is fantastic. It's why I lent into roleplay games first so much, I think, is that escapism. It fits into the reading I do, sort of that sci-fi fantasy escapism.
Why does anyone read a book? Because it's a brilliant story and it catches you. It could be fantasy or, fiction or non-fiction, whatever, but it's a story. It's something that isn't your world immediately around you. It's something that you can lose yourself in a little bit. Yeah, that's cool. Keslin's put in there, getting to play with all the things you normally would not be able to. Yeah, absolutely.
It's that time when you can. You've got that hobby time.
If your job's difficult, even though it might be really good, it might not be really good, it might be really rubbish or mundane, but at the end of it, you get to go back and play with your toys. Yeah, that's cool, right? Yeah.
It's all board. Yeah, I mean, I know, like, probably a lot of our viewers are the same. I think it's probably what attracts us to this kind of hobby is that overactive imagination, and this is just a great outlet for it. Is you get to use that imagination that you've got, which you might not, most of us don't get to use in our sort of everyday life as well. Yeah. So just knowing, I mean, we do it when we play with the guys back up in Devon, is you do end up kind of doing like those, playing out those little scenarios that happen a little bit. You add a bit of narration to kind of what those roles have just actually said has happened. You add a bit more to it. It's half the fun.
That's one of the groups that's actually in the links to the description in this video. Is Dice Saga, who are a bunch of guys somewhere in the UK who have a YouTube channel dedicated to making narration and stories to the games of Warhammer Age of Sigmar that they play. And I think that's brilliant. I love it. It would be excellent that when we mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, that when we meet up, is play through a crusade of Warhammer 40k and then be able to make a little short story out of it. That'd be brilliant. Definitely. You know, and if that becomes really good and popular, then that could be another branch of EZ8, which is just the fan-made stories that go with it. They've got fan-made stories have got just as much place in the world as proper authored books. You know.
I mean, we've named my lieutenant through this show.
Yeah, we did.
Hypoxis the Anemic Whirlwind, Lieutenant of the Blood Angels.
Thank you, Mellowbrook, if you're watching live right now.
Little shout out.
Yeah.
An Imperium sword with a teeth of terror. I think it's the perfect name for him, because that's exactly what he's going to do. So
yeah, that was a good show. That was a good show. Oh, right. Well, I finished the basic outlining on the head here. I'm having a real focus struggle day of it today, and that's fine. That's okay. It does. And the idea, I don't want to step away from it. I want to kind of push through that mire. And that's what I was talking about earlier on. That's that hard bit for me, which is sometimes it's just got to be done. But I'm not going to push it. I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to go too fast or too far with it. I'm just going to go. Do you know what? Today I'm just going to make all the outlines, and then tomorrow or whenever I'll come back to it and I'll go right. I'll take these outlines and I'll extend them and I'll expand on them, neaten them up if they need it. But you know, the basis of it, the lines are down. That's good. That's cool. That is progress. Because I'm struggling, I'm not going to do the back of the head because it's a little bit tighter in there, and yes, it makes it a little bit more difficult. So I don't want to make it too hard for myself today. So I'm just going to move on to this spine here, which I believe is referenced to as the neuro spine, because this is a neurothrope. I suppose it's supposed to be some sort of psychic antenna.
Yeah, antennae. But that's something that I found interesting, because I've struggled for a long time to sort of break into painting as a hobby. I never felt that side of the hobby was for me. I didn't kind of get that enjoyment, and it's because I knew I'd be starting from scratch. But the fact that, you know, I got the chance, you know, to chat to you and some other guys that paint and understand that you don't always get it right. Sometimes it is hard. Sometimes the model doesn't come out how you want. Sometimes you have to just kind of strip it back and start again. Kind of just gave me that confidence to go, okay, like, I just need to start. I just need to make a start, and it will come.
You're never alone in a little community like this. There's always people that know what you're doing right now. Someone else has done it. Yeah. You're not the first person to struggle with that particular thing. Talk it out, man.
Yeah. I was gutted. I thought I was going to get so much done over the half term. I really did. I was like, yeah, I got a week.
Hands up for the viewers who also thought they were going to get loads of stuff done but didn't. Me.
Yeah, but just unfortunately, lots of things happened in the half term. But we're getting there. I'm still looking out. I wanna add an attack bike, that beautiful retro. It's one of the first models I ever got. Need to get another one to add an attack bike to the Crusade Force. It's coming. It fits the brief. It's fast. That's it. It's in the spearhead.
I'm sure we spoke about this a little while ago, but how do you feel about the new ATV model?
Oh, terrible.
No, I'm not a fan either.
It's not for me. Unfortunately, it just doesn't quite look right.
Yeah, I found it a little bit irksome.
I've seen some really nice conversions of sort of remodels of what it kind of could have been and should have been potentially. But yeah, not quite.
Clean this brush out, it's getting a bit crammed up there. There we go.
I also find though that, and I know you quite like them, is it what do they call them? The new Walker models.
The Invictus Warsuit.
Yeah, the Warsuit.
Took me a little while to take to it, but actually, yeah, I'm quite into it.
I can't help but see Avatar when
I can't help but see Matrix.
Okay, yeah, okay, I get you. Yeah.
You know, in the Battle for Zion.
Yeah. Because the new Matrix coming out.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
Are you excited? What do you think? How's it going to go?
I'm pensive because
Yeah,
it has
that's
the
exactly
has the
it, like,
potential
oh.
to stamp all over a really good story, but there's so much scope for so much more out of it. I feel that the story was wrapped up neatly, and they went, "Yep, we've done all this," and I'm like, I can settle with that. That was a story well delivered. The first one was the best one because it was original
by
and it could
far
stand
the best.
alone, and it was dealt that way. It was made that way. It was made like, if this isn't successful, we don't want to have it just kind of hanging as a cliffhanger empty. And it was done well. And the next two were done really well, and I liked them. You can pull them apart all you want, but you can pull anything apart. You can pull a good book apart if you want to. Yeah, I don't have any gripes with it. I got a little bit of struggle with. I suppose I really have to talk about the extension of my belief in a world which is totally simulated. But the bit where he has his powers outside of the Matrix, spoiler alert, I found that I had to kind of like go, really? Like never felt they really explained that well enough. They kind of wrapped everything else up, and then they went.
Could this be where the explanation comes in?
Maybe, but I'm also okay with them not explaining it because you don't have to say everything. Like I don't have an issue with that. Like,
so is that like leaving it to interpretation?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Sort of viewer interpretation?
I'm fine with that. So I'm really interested to see where it's going to go. Now, obviously, because Keanu Reeves is in the new one, he's going to have a part to play as Neo. Is he the central role? I don't know. I try not to look into it too much because I don't like.
Knowing that everything that's going to go on before
modern
you watch it.
trailers have a habit of spoiling the entire film for you, and I hate it.
Yeah,
So
I'm going to say a few years ago now, I made the decision to stop watching.
Yeah.
Like trying to avoid trailers to films that I really want to watch. All the Marvel films. I felt the Marvel films are terrible at it, of giving you everything that was going to happen. All the best bits, all the funniest bits. And you're like, oh, by the time you'd watch the film.
All the bits that you're going to walk away from the cinema remembering.
Yeah. You saw in the
Just
trailer.
realise that subscribe banner is now still moving across our videos.
That's been getting the whole show, Danny.
It's just because I've updated the screen to a little ending screen there because we're coming up to the end of our evening here. Another movie that's just being announced is going to come out is a redo of Mortal Kombat. If you have yet to see the trailer for that, it does not spoil anything. It does exactly what a trailer should do and makes you really excited. I'm a big boy. I'm a bit of a child over Mortal Kombat. Because it was one of the first
sorry,
videos.
Danny. Did you just say you're a big boy? Was that what you?
Yeah.
I'm a big boy.
I meant it as I'm a big boy, not in the way that I'm not going to go into because I want this to be for families. But yeah, I got very excited about it, and it doesn't look like the silly little show that it was back in its early one. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Is that the Kylie Minogue, John
No, that
Boorman
was Street Fighter.
Street Fighter. Oh, shocking! Shouldn't have got those two confused. My apologies. No, I don't think I remember Mortal. I remember the game.
Christopher Lambert was in it.
As in?
From The Highlander, Christopher Lambert was Raiden.
Yeah.
And Robin Shou was Liu Kang. And they had the most awesome guy ever play Shang Tsung. I can't pronounce his name. Carry something. You had Scorpion and Sub-Zero as these two sort of soulless slaves to him, and then the story fell apart. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, whatever. But the new one looks really cool, and mod special effects.
I don't think I watched the original. You explaining that there. I've also just had, Adrian just said he's posted his Primaris ATV to Facebook, so I will definitely have a little check out of that. Did you do anything to it, Adrian? I don't know why I'm asking, because I'm just about to go have a look at it. I was going to say, have you done anything to it, or did you sort of make and paint as it is? Let's have a look.
Well, we've really touched on so many different subjects this evening. Like, I just kind of want to carry on for another hour, but
it's been lovely, isn't it?
It really has been.
I love it.
Yeah, it's been really, really good. Apologies to viewers who wanted to see me do acid pool basing and carnifexes and whatever, but this is the way this goes. It's not scripted. I struggle as much as anybody else, which is why this show exists. And I've just got to work through this. I've got to deal with it, and it will look awesome when it's done. Beside his other Zone Threat buddies, and yeah, cool. But do you know what? I've struggled this evening. Whew. Do you know what I was going to do? I was going to show everybody my cool little tanks, wasn't I? So my dad gave me some more some more 1/100 scale tanks from Zvezda. Got a little Stug. Love a Stug. This is a Stug 3. Stug 3B, if anybody wants to know. It's quite an early tank for the Second World War. And it's made on the Panzer III chassis. The easiest way of telling Panzer III and Panzer IV apart is that the Panzer III has 3 return rollers here, and the Panzer IV has 4. Like if you can't work out which one's which, then that's the easiest way of telling that I found. And basically they made assault gun versions of them where they took the turret off, put a big gun inside, lots of room for the breach in there. Yeah, and this was a workhorse of the German Wehrmacht in the Second World War. Absolutely fantastic, and I really like it. It's quite a chunk of a model. I've also got the Elephant, which I spoke about last week, I think it was, where previously I had made the error of confusing this with the Mouse. The basic chassis of this was a leftover, an unused chassis for the original Tiger 1 made by Porsche. Ferdinand Porsche. It was originally called the Ferdinand in honour of Porsche Ferdinand, but the Henschel variant took over to the common Tiger that we know. They had 100 hulls and about 10, I think, turrets, and they turned them into the Ferdinand, or the Elephant, as they have referred to it. So I've got an Elephant here, and I've also got a couple of little teeny tiny tanks. These ones are they are rapidly taking over as my favourite tank. I really am a big fan of the Panzer IV. I think it's a lovely tank, but this is such a charming, cute tank. This is the M3 Stuart, and it was at the beginning of the war a really good tank, but very, very quickly in the arms race was beaten out by everything in Germany. By the Panzer IIIs, Panzer IVs, just shot these things up. But they maintained their existence all the way through the war as scout tanks, reconnaissance tanks, recce tanks, basically. They did upgrade it, and eventually it got an upgrade to the M5. And again, the easiest way of telling the difference on that one is that it's a much smaller area that the track takes up. So the M3 kind of goes up quite far with this really big rear wheel. On the M5, it's much smaller, and it's much more kind of level here rather than kind of hiking up all the way. That's the easiest way, by spotting it, at a glance. They had very small armaments. They didn't have very big cannons in them, but they were really quite reliable. They were really fast despite their low armor, and the crews, despite whatever you might read anywhere, the crews generally really liked them, and they were often called honey tanks because it was a honey to the crew. That has also been tried to be debunked as a name that came after the war, but there is a plethora of first-hand evidence of the people writing about them in actual documentation in the military, and for letters home, whatever, referring to them as the honey tanks. Everyone called them honey tanks, British and the Americans alike. So yeah, the Stuart or the honey tank. So those are just a couple. I've got a load of others. I've still got a couple of Russian tanks to put together, but I've got no Russian colour, so I'm not in a rush to paint the Russians.
I'm not a Russian for them.
For the Russian, and quite a few viewers have got in contact with me, talking to me about little tank games, because you don't have to put an awful lot of effort into them because they're so small. Less is more, and just basically you can go out and buy a box like Stafford did, who's one of our viewers who isn't live with us today, by the looks of it, might be. Basically went out and spent 30 odd quid on a box set, bought the Flames of War box set, which isn't what I normally get. These are from Zvezda, which is just standalone models, but I play Tanks, which is a game that is just the armor from Flames of War, but you can then use your Flames of War stuff or your tank stuff in either of the two games. They kind of cross over. So I don't have any of the troops or the big AA guns or anything like that. As Stafford has got a load of like paratroopers. He's even got some pop-out card scenery for like a V1 installation, which I think the scenario in that little book is the Allies storming a German V1 base. So yeah, that's kind of cool fun. I also play a game of What a Tanker. I shared my information about What a Tanker with Stafford during a communication during the week, and yeah, hopefully when this lockdown is over, it shouldn't be too difficult to go and meet with Stafford and hopefully have some games of What a Tanker with him. But that would be, that's going to be really good. To give you an idea of the scale between these tanks, there you go. The Honey was, or the Stuart was a really, really small tank. And I've stood in front of a Stuart. I stood in front of a lot of tanks. I went to the tank museum and I didn't really quite take it in how small it was. But yeah, it's tiny. And it still has quite a crew. There's like 4 people in there. So yeah, anyway. So let me come away from the workbench because we're done here for the night. I've really struggled. I would really like to know how you guys... oh, I've gone to the wrong screen. Let me go to... There's Kyle here as well. There he is. I'd really like to know how you've got on today. Have you done better than me? Have you got stuff done? Because, oh yeah, I've done the front of her head. Struggle with it today. I put it all down to the stress of trying to get the show up and running. Kyle, you've also not had the most productive day either.
No. I mean, I've come to the realisation as well that Friday evenings for me, it's a struggle after a long week, and on a Friday I do 8 hours of online lessons. By the time I get to this point, I just enjoy having some contact with some people.
Yeah.
So it's been helping, and obviously we spoke about it before, and we actually spoke about this before we came on air tonight, is that I've kind of I'm biting the bullet and will be doing something for my lighting situation, which is going to help me as well.
Yeah. You'll get a lot more out of you'll get a lot more involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. Luke has put in, I'm on the edge of getting a crocodile tank by Bolt Action. Yeah, the Bolt Action models are really, really good. They're affordable and you get quite a lot out of that one box. They're about anywhere from 20 to 30 quid depending on what you get. I've got quite a few, or have painted up quite a few Bolt Action models when I first got into it. Churchill is the original crocodile, isn't it? That was the frame that they built the flamethrower on, and they carried the big tank behind it. Yeah, an aggressive looking machine, and was pretty nasty considering what it did. It's not cool at all.
You probably mentioned it already on the show, but the crocodile crews never wore any insignia
because they didn't want to be identified as crocodile crew.
Crocodile crew were never taken as prisoners of war by the Germans. They were executed on the spot
because of what they did. So that's pretty harsh. I mean, it's all fun talking about war games, but when you understand what the reality of the subject
the history
is,
behind it,
it's really quite grim, really.
But not the note we want to end on.
No, it's not, which is why I'm going to go to what he's added in there now. Also, painting wise, I've got everything I want to get done today. Just the face and the base to do during next week. Base and the face. Yeah, one of the things I want to bring up soon doing here on the show, something that we can learn to do together, is skin tones and faces and things like that. Like, I feel like I'm on the border of being able to really kind of crack that. Not be good at it on the first go, but to step into the world of really developing those skills, because skin tones just themselves are really difficult. I've done a bit of it before with my Goliaths in Necromunda. I thought I had it, but no, they looked like they were in a sunbed for a very long time. A skin tone that looks like hot dogs is not what I was after. So I really want to get those kind of like flesh tones developed, and then of course applying that to 28mm heads is another skill in itself. So that would be something to do on a show where I think either do it as part of an evening of online painting club or do it as a separate thing. Would be really good. Yeah, cool. Is there anything that you want to kind of develop specifically, like skin tones or flesh tones or anything like that?
Oh, motivation. No, I think for me it's not colours at the moment. I'm building up for my lieutenant model, so it's edge highlighting. I think I've put some dry brush in now.
That's pretty much where I'm at right now. Yeah, is like pin washing and edge highlighting is the next. Trying to get away from sludge washing and dry brushing. They have their places. You've proven that immensely, and I've got some really good effects with sludge washing, but actually taking a little bit of time. Jeff's put in, I do a thing on painting eyes. Yeah, cool, brilliant.
Don't I think is the
it's actually I learned some important lessons. I was watching a video when I was going through a little I went down the rabbit hole on YouTube the other day, watched a load of Adam Savage videos, and he went to the Weta workshop where they've been developing eyes like for their puppets and things, and they say that and I've known this for a while, don't paint white for your eyes because it pops as a colour too much. In the modelling world we always use greys because it just tones it down a little bit, stops it from going here's a bright colour, but in Weta Workshop what they've discovered is actually it's a very, very light form of blue, like a sky blue or a baby blue. because if it's white it just stands out too much. So that's an interesting thing to go down. So actually painting eyes, I have thought about getting a 54mm model as a one-off to develop those flesh tones on, which perhaps I'll buy you one, Kyle, as a thank you for helping us out getting the show up to where it is now. Is perhaps that we can do that for a couple of weeks, is really focus on getting some flesh tones done.
If I can get home, I've got all my old Inquisitor models somewhere packed away in a shoebox.
That was a great game. I loved it.
So I've got some 54mm models somewhere.
Adrian seconding the thing on eyes. Do you know, perhaps what we can really, if we have a really good think about this, and I am open to suggestions, and you can drop them in anywhere on Facebook, whatever you like, at any time, and it's something that we won't just dive straight into it, but perhaps we can do some sort of a competition about painting eyes, where you and I can do a feature on painting eyes, and other people can do it at a certain time. Send your photos in, or even the model to a disclosed address at the time, and we will judge who's got the best eyes, and perhaps there might be a little prize in it for you at the end. But we won't rush into it. But let's it's a community, and you're all welcome to take part, drop in suggestions, and you can put in ideas for what you want to get out of it as well. So that's something that I'm really open to. That's cool. That's pretty much us at the end of tonight, Carl. We have run over a little bit over, and I said you actually wanted to get away a little bit earlier, so I won't hold you up any longer. Don't forget, even if you're not new to the show today, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow on all of our platforms, all of our, wherever we are. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, obviously, we're on Instagram. Please do follow us, like us, subscribe to us, share, talk about us with your friends, get us our name out there, and tell people about us, and bring them along to the show next week. That would be great. For now, I've had a cracking evening, just chatting away, really. I've got a lot of work to do. In the meantime, I've been Danny.
I've been Kyle.
We'll see you next week. I hope you have a great time. Cheers. Cheers now. Bye-bye. That was a tough week, man. I struggled.
Tough week of painting?
A tough day. A tough day of it.
The flow I thought was really nice on the show. That went lovely.
You think?
It was some really nice chapters.